Gabby M gave us the coolest review. See here where the videos, flashcards, and practice tests helped her pass the FTCE on the first try. This gets me fired up to help other teachers and soon-to-be teachers get in the classroom. My name is Terry, and I work with 240 to help people like you pass their certification exams. This video is going to prepare you for the Language, Arts, and Reading portion of the FTCE PreK-3. This is a test for anyone who wants to teach pre-kindergarten through 3rd grade in the state of Florida. And this video is going to cover 3 things: what's on the test and how to study for it, the most important concepts to dominate, and we're going to look at a few practice questions. The FTCE PreK exam is split into 4 subtests: developmental knowledge, language, arts, and reading, mathematics, and science. Each contains a certain amount of selected response questions, but for now, we're going to focus on the language, arts, and reading, which has 55 questions in all. Ready to see what's on the language, arts, and reading subtest? Better keep watching. Now, the FTCE PreK-3 Language, Arts, and Reading subtest consists of 5 competencies. You'll need to have knowledge of literacy and literacy instruction, fiction and nonfiction genres, including reading informational texts, reading foundational skills, language elements used for effective oral and written communication, and assessments to inform literacy instruction. Each competency is worth between 10 and 24% of your exam. We'll discuss some of the most important things to know for each competency. Let's start with the building blocks of literacy and take it from the top with Competency 1. This section of your exam covers both general knowledge of literacy development and how to teach and promote early literacy skills. Expect to see questions about concepts of print, the alphabetic principle, phonological awareness. Actually, let's jump right into that one. Phonological awareness is an umbrella term that includes the ability to hear individual words, syllables, and sounds in spoken language. It involves the understanding that words can be broken into parts. Phonological awareness typically develops in a simple to complex progression. Students move from rhyming and alliteration to phonemic awareness skills. Phonemic awareness is sometimes confused with phonological awareness, but it is actually a subcategory of phonological awareness. And phonemic awareness has its own simple to complex progression of skills, from phoneme isolation up to phoneme substitution. Now, that was a lot of information. There were a lot of drops under that umbrella and a lot of steps on that staircase. Now, if you want more time with this content and even some practice questions going over it, subscribe to the 240 Study Guide. We have everything covered that you need to know to pass your exam, and you'll be able to study and prepare yourself at your own pace. But hey, we're off to a good start working through the key concepts of each of the competencies. So let's keep working. We'll stay in the teaching reading mindset and jump down to Competency 3. But don't worry, I won't forget about Competency 2. I promise. Competency 3 covers reading foundational skills. Be prepared for questions about skills students need for success in reading, such as comprehension, fluency, and determining the meaning of words. You'll also need to know about decoding, including the stages of word recognition and cueing strategies used by effective readers. Need a little help cracking that code? That's my cue. Decoding is using knowledge of letter-sound correspondence to accurately pronounce written words. You may know this process as sounding out words. Readers rely a lot on different things to be able to decode, including 3 different cueing systems. Now let's take a peek inside our study guide to hear about one of these systems explained in detail.
And the graphophonic cueing system draws on visual cues. This is when the prompt, "Does that look right?" can be used. Let's say the reader reads this example as, "Pandas can somersault and roll to move from place to place faster." They can be prompted to use their knowledge of letter-sound correspondence to determine that somersault is not what is printed on the page, and ideally self-correct to, "Pandas can tumble and roll to move from place to place faster."
Like what you saw? We got plenty more where that came from inside of our comprehensive test-aligned study guide. You can subscribe whenever you're ready, but for now, let's move on to Competency 2. See, I told you I wouldn't forget. I got you. Competency 2 covers both fiction and nonfiction genres. This means you'll need to know about different types of text students will read and their special features. For non-fictional text, it's important to know specific text features like the table of contents and glossary and what they're used for. And if you need a little refresher on these, guess what? We got you covered in the study guide. You'll also need to have a good handle on multiple representations of information. Ask yourself, what visual tool would be best for displaying the information in the text? Reading a text about a period of history? A timeline is a great way to represent that information. Comparing how many pounds of food different animals consume in a day? A bar graph makes sense for that. Let's skip on down to the next competency. Competency 4 is all about oral and written communication. Expect to see questions about helping students develop their speaking and writing skills. This competency covers a lot, but something you have got to know are the types of writing and the various contexts they're used for. There are 3 main types of writing. Writing can be narrative when telling a story, persuasive when making an argument, or it can be informative when delivering information. Each of the 3 main types of writing has its own purpose, audience, organization, and style choices associated with it. Let's discuss the first one in detail. Narrative or descriptive writing tells a story or describes a specific person, place, or thing. Descriptive writing can stand alone or be a part of a narrative. Descriptive writing uses detailed descriptions to help create a mood or atmosphere. Sensory details are often used and include descriptions of the sights, sounds, smells, taste, and how things feel in the story. Transition words create a sense of time and organize events in the story. Dialogue between characters may be used. Subgenres include short stories, vignettes, letters, memoirs, and poems. Let's take a look at the last competency. Competency 5 will test your knowledge on language art assessment for pre-kindergarten and primary students. There's a lot that goes into assessing students in reading and writing. You should be familiar with general terms like screening, progress monitoring, diagnostic, and conferencing, and specific assessments too, such as a fluency probe, running records, and portfolio. But let's dig into that last one. A portfolio is a collection of student work that shows growth over time. Teachers keep or students self-select work samples throughout the year to show progress. It's exciting to see how far students come throughout the year. A portfolio is also great documentation. You've made it through all the competencies. Feel proud of yourself? You should. Now that we've gone through a big concept in each of the 5 competencies, let's take a look at some practice questions to show you how they'll appear on the test. Now, if you want a lot of practice questions, you can click the free practice test below. And at the end, you'll get a score report that'll show you how well you did. And after that, then you can subscribe to the 240 study guide so that you're 100% confident you'll pass that test. Did I mention that this 240 study guide has a money-back guarantee that you'll pass? Okay, let's see those questions. Remember how the first competency is all about early literacy skills? Let's see how that is reflected in a question. A kindergarten teacher begins each class by reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. The teacher has a poster with the words to the Pledge of Allegiance and taps each word as the class recites the pledge. By tapping the word on the poster in correlation with reciting the word, the teacher is best demonstrating which of the following: concepts of print, decoding, phonological awareness, or alphabetic principle. This is the correct answer. A part of concepts of print is awareness of print and environment and an understanding of how it works. The teacher is promoting the student's understanding of the correlation between written and spoken words by pointing to them as she says them out loud. Let's check out another. Which of the following most accurately describes the pre-alphabetic stage? When I first looked through the choices, I thought this was the answer, but as we can see, this is not the one. The immediate answer feedback you'll see in our study guide is a great way to self-monitor and learn as you go. It turns out this is the correct choice. Students in the pre-alphabetic stage have no working knowledge of the alphabetic system. Let's keep this study session going. A reader would most frequently encounter captions in which genre of writing? A magazine article, a short story, a play, or a podcast transcript? Out of these choices, a magazine article is the best one. Magazine articles frequently include visuals that could be accompanied by captions. Now let's take a look at a question about oral and written communication. Which question must be an area of focus when students are engaged in the pre-writing stage of writing? Who is the attendant audience? Are there any remaining errors in spelling, punctuation, or grammar? Are there appropriate transition words and connections between sentences and paragraphs? Or should this be posted in a newsletter, blog, or magazine for the school? This is the one we want. Determining the intended audience should occur during the pre-writing stage of the writing process when the writer determines the overall ideas for the topic. Almost there. Now let's see one from the last competency. A running record is a reading assessment tool that does which of the following? A running record helps a teacher evaluate a student's reading of individual words and text as a whole to check for strengths and weaknesses. Now that's just a small sampling of practice questions just to give you a little taste of how they'll show up on the test. Congratulations on finishing the video. If you found it helpful, give it a like. There's plenty more to learn. Did you know that 240 has helped thousands of teachers pass their exams? If you want more information on this exam, subscribe to the 240 Study Guide today. It has hours of video so you can watch or listen as you please. It is test-aligned so you know precisely what you need to study. And it has hundreds of practice questions so you can be sure that you're ready. And it has the money-back guarantee. So click the link below and get started.